Football Hall of Famer and broadcaster Shannon Sharpe says he's stepping aside from his job at ESPN in light of new allegations. On Sunday, a woman filed a $50 million civil lawsuit in the state of Nevada.
Why you go put a... This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old out there that can love you old.
You can be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rap down in 2 weekends.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Remember when Katt Williams pulled up to Club Shay Shay and told Shannon Sharpe, plain and simple, that messing around with white women could land him in serious trouble? Yeah, that wasn't a joke. That was a full-on warning. And now that moment is blowing up all over again because people are starting to realize Katt wasn't just being funny. He was actually right. Turns out Shannon was already knee-deep in the very situation Katt was talking about. If you haven't heard, Shannon's now being hit with a massive lawsuit by a young white OnlyFans model. And when we say young, we mean teenager young when their alleged relationship started. She's accusing him of the R word and is demanding $50 million, plus a trial by jury. The internet is going wild over this, not just because of the shocking claims, but also because there's a wild twist. That now viral interview with Katt and Shannon, yeah, it was filmed while Shannon was already supposedly involved with that same woman. So now everyone's going back, rewatching that clip, and pointing out how weirdly uncomfortable Shannon looked the whole time Katt was talking about how white women could destroy a man's life in just 2 weekends. Some folks are even saying you can see the panic in Shannon's eyes, like his soul left his body for a second.
To get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan Majors.
There you go. Think I'm old, Cat.
Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not going to act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit down in 2 weekends. And that's the truth of the matter.
Okay, things are about to get even messier than we thought. It's not just that this woman was barely out of high school and white. The situation's way darker than that. According to the lawsuit, Shannon Sharpe allegedly got into some seriously disturbing stuff in the bedroom, including something called race play. Now, if you're not familiar with race play, let's just say it's one of those things YouTube won't let me explain to you in detail, so you might need to look it up for yourself. But let's just say people online aren't feeling too sympathetic towards Shannon after hearing what he was allegedly into. Messing around with a teenager at his age was already sketchy enough, but then bringing race play into the mix? That's a whole new level of messed up. And from what we're hearing, it wasn't like this woman was into it either. She was basically working for Shannon, and he allegedly asked her to participate in these activities. She agreed to role play at first, but then later stopped playing along, making it seem like his actions were not consensual. Boom! Just like that, Shannon's whole reputation and career are spiraling down the drain. Fans online are not showing any pity for him. They're saying he got exactly what he was warned about. They can't believe a man almost 60 years old would still be out here making these kinds of choices. Katt Williams tried to warn him, but now it's all blowing up in Shannon's face, and it's hard to look away. But hold up, this story gets even wilder. So in case you haven't heard, Shannon is now facing a massive $50 million civil lawsuit filed by a woman named Gabriella Zuniga, a 19-year-old OnlyFans model in Clark County, Nevada. In the lawsuit, she accuses Shannon of R-wording her at least twice, emotionally and verbally mistreating her, secretly recording their intimate moments, and even threatening her life. All of this allegedly happened during their brief relationship, which started in 2023 when Shannon was 54 and Gabriella was just 19. The age difference alone is wild. I mean, even if everything was consensual, it still feels predatory. Gabriella could literally be Shannon's granddaughter. Let that sink in for a second. But things get even crazier when you hear about the kind of stuff Shannon was allegedly into. According to text messages between them, Gabriella was essentially acting as a paid worker, and Shannon was requesting some very inappropriate things. One text even showed Gabriella asking for $25,000 for each cheek. You know, her behind. But that's not the only thing. She also mentioned something about wanting to have Shannon's big black baby, and other wild requests. Now, Let's be real here. Do you really think a 19-year-old white woman is just randomly saying things like that? It's becoming clearer and clearer that Shannon might have a fetish for this kind of racial dynamic, and it's troubling. I mean, think about it. This 19-year-old girl wasn't just coming up with that on her own. Shannon, a 54-year-old grown man from Georgia, was likely the one pushing for this. He might have been comfortable with these types of ideas, but the whole situation reeks of manipulation and disturbing behavior. It's honestly chilling. Now, before we get deeper into this wild rabbit hole, let's just take a moment to process how absolutely chaotic this whole situation has become. We're not just dealing with some he said, she said drama. This is a full-blown mess with layers of disturbing allegations, power imbalance, and some seriously questionable behavior. Shannon Sharpe isn't just some loud voice on sports talk shows. He's a former NFL legend, a Hall of Famer, and a man who's climbed out of poverty into the rural South to become one of the most recognizable personalities in modern sports media. Born on June 26, 1968, in Chicago, Illinois, Shannon was raised primarily in Glenville, Georgia by his grandmother after his parents separated and his father died when Shannon was only a young boy. His upbringing was marked by hardship and struggle, not the flashy life of cameras and commentary, but the gritty, humble life of a black boy raised in the Deep South during the 1970s and 80s. His story is often painted as one of triumph over adversity. He grew up poor, wore hand-me-down clothes, worked hard on farms to support his family, but through it all, football became his escape, his way out. Shannon played college football at Savannah State University, a small HBCU, historically black college and university, where his athletic talent eventually put him on the NFL's radar. In 1990, he was drafted in the 7th round by the Denver Broncos, not exactly a guaranteed shot at greatness. But he hustled, he proved himself, and over 14 seasons in the NFL, he built an incredible legacy. He won 3 Super Bowl titles, 2 with the Broncos, and 1 with the Baltimore Ravens, and earned a spot in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2011. Known for his outspoken personality, sharp wit, and unmatched work ethic, Shannon became one of the greatest tight ends in NFL history. But even after he hung up his cleats, Shannon didn't fade into the background. Instead, he rebranded. He took his larger-than-life personality to the television screen and became a household name in sports commentary, especially as co-host of Undisputed alongside Skip Bayless. With his clever comebacks, impassioned rants, and unapologetic black pride, Shannon became a symbol of authenticity in a media world often accused of being fake or scripted. He also made waves outside of sports, going viral for his on-air antics, his love for Laporters, his hilarious mispronunciation of LeBron's James supporters, his famous cigars and cognac setups, and his signature catchphrases like, "That ain't no problem," or "Skip, you know better than that." He built a huge following on social media, became a meme machine, and launched his own podcast, Club Shay Shay, where he's interviewed everyone from comedians to athletes to cultural icons. To many, Shannon was the guy who made sports media fun again, a former athlete who spoke his mind, stood up for black issues, and never backed down from a challenge. But now everything has changed. Now, what makes this whole situation even crazier is the fact that someone like Katt Williams probably saw it all coming. I mean, he tried to warn Shannon about what could eventually blow up in his face. Shannon, in the midst of this growing storm, is looking worse and worse, especially after Gabriella's lawyer, Tony Busby, leaked an audio recording that paints Shannon in an even darker light. In this recording, Shannon is heard threatening to choke Gabriella, which is unsettling enough on its own. The conversation, to be honest, is strange from both sides. Gabriella seems to be baiting Shannon with some odd talk about a big black man choking a small white woman. And while it's hard to say exactly how much of this is role play or manipulation, the fact that Shannon sounds like he's getting off on that kind of talk only makes him more like a total creep.
Say you're just gonna get mad at and you're just gonna hang up on me, so I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
what does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Now let's be clear, this is not a good look for either side, but it especially raises red flags about Shannon. This conversation is messed up from every angle. and it honestly sounds like they're both engaged in some sort of role play. Gabriella perhaps was egging him on to get him to say some out-of-pocket stuff, knowing that it would lead to this exact moment where she could use it as evidence. So now, she can claim it was all consensual, but regardless of that, Shannon is still in the hot seat. But the real kicker? Shannon, nearly 60 years old, is still out here trying to navigate these messy situations with a 19-year-old and thinking she wouldn't turn the tables on him. The lack of self-awareness here is just shocking. It's almost as if he didn't think he'd get played. This situation is mind-blowing, especially considering how much wisdom a man his age should have by now. What's even crazier is that Shannon's trying to flip the script and play the race card, claiming that Tony Busby, Gabriella's lawyer, only goes after successful black men. In a public statement, Shannon said, "To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a tape that tries to make me look guilty and plays into every stereotype you could possibly imagine." Now, let's pause right there. Even if Shannon's claims are true, and Busby has gone after other prominent black figures, how is Shannon going to use the black man defense when he literally paid a white woman to degrade him as part of some twisted racial role play? That's the real question. It's honestly hard to imagine how Shannon didn't see this coming, especially when his actions have already involved race play, which has its very own problematic set of associations. And while Shannon might be trying to get ahead of the narrative, it's clear that the more he talks, the worse it gets. The fact that he's trying to spin the narrative about a shakedown, yet his own actions have been so controversial, makes it feel like he's digging his own grave. Because of all this backlash and the serious nature of the accusations, Shannon Sharpe has officially announced he's stepping away from his ESPN duties for now. On Thursday, the former NFL star released a statement saying he's taking a break to focus on his family and deal with what he calls false and disruptive allegations tied to a $50 million civil lawsuit. Shannon says he'll return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason on July 31st. But until then, he's stepping out of the spotlight. It's a major move from someone who's been a dominant force not just on the field, but in sports media. Let's not forget, this man is a Hall of Famer. He played 14 seasons, won 3 Super Bowls, and once held the record for the most receptions, yards, and touchdowns by a tight end. Since retiring, he's become a staple in media, first with FS1's Undisputed, and now with ESPN. But even all of those accolades can't protect him from this level of controversy. Whether the allegations turn out to be true or not, Shannon's public image has already taken a hit, and it's not just the internet or fans who've spoken out. Celebrities like Katt Williams and Monique literally tried to warn him months ago about his reckless behavior with much younger women and questionable relationships. And now here we are. The same people he ignored are the ones who saw it coming. So whether you're a fan or not, it's safe to say Shannon Sharpe is in one of the biggest messes of his career. And this time, no smooth talking or Hall of Fame status is gonna clean it up.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might open. Big black guy, small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
As the drama surrounding Shannon Sharpe's ongoing legal battle intensifies, ESPN host Stephen A. Smith has now stepped into the conversation. On Big Boy TV, Smith weighed in on the serious accusations against his colleague Shannon. Smith, who doesn't have a law degree, was quick to share his thoughts, especially considering their close working relationship on ESPN's First Take. He stressed the importance of not jumping to conclusions, admitting that none of them can know the full story just yet. None of us really know, and it would be really irresponsible to get into the minutiae of it all because we just don't know, Smith said. However, Smith also pointed out that based on the details they've seen so far, the situation seemed to him consensual. Yet he was quick to remind everyone that he isn't a legal expert and could never presume to make the final call. Smith, a longtime friend and colleague of Sharpe, also shared his sadness over how the case might affect Sharpe's future, both personally and professionally. He expressed how much he valued Sharpe's presence on First Take, saying, "We're better with him than without him." Smith also reflected on the broader narrative of support, emphasizing that regardless of the situation, Sharpe would not lose his loyalty or friendship. "You ain't gonna see me excoriating him," Smith said, reaffirming his commitment to supporting his friend during a difficult time. But beyond the legalities, Smith suggested that there were people after Sharpe, particularly after his podcast interview with comedian Katt Williams, which stirred up some controversy. Smith pointed out the way people had been gunning for Sharpe, especially due to his success and influence. People have been at his neck because of the numbers he produced and the success that it had, Smith commented, alluding to the way Sharpe's rising star at ESPN may have caused jealousy or resentment in some corners. Since the lawsuit was filed, Sharpe has stepped back from his duties on ESPN, signaling the seriousness of the situation. While Sharpe has made a few appearances, he ultimately announced he'd be taking an indefinite leave of absence to deal with the case. Smith addressed this, acknowledging the discomfort surrounding the release of private details, like explicit text messages, which Sharpe's legal team had to put out. That was uncomfortable, Smith admitted, questioning whether that strategy would ultimately help Sharpe's case. Additionally, Cameron has offered his thoughts about this. On the latest episode of It Is What It Is, Cam spoke at length about the allegations. "Let me ask you a question before I give my opinion. Do you think this has something to do with her being white?" Cam asked, to which Treasurer Stat Wilson replied, "Yes." She went on to explain that she thinks Sharpe's accuser, who is an OnlyFans model, saw a financial opportunity amid reports that he was nearing a $100 million deal for his two podcasts, Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. He also referenced the leaked audio in which Sharpe allegedly said he'd choke his accuser, as well as the leaked text messages in which she accused him of refusing to put on a condom and entering her from behind without her consent. He suggested that Sharpe should know better than to get involved with certain women. "I hope that Disney does keep him. I'm rooting for him because I do believe this is a shakedown," he said. "Because when you start getting the video evidence and audio evidence, that's crazy." Now, whether this situation was truly consensual or not, there's something about it that just doesn't sit right with most people. The whole mess surrounding Shannon Sharpe and the SA allegations is complicated, and it's not just about the accusations themselves. It's about how everything is playing out in the public eye. On one hand, there's a woman accusing a powerful figure. On the other, there's the reality of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit and leaked audio and text messages that complicate things even further. The timing of this lawsuit raises some serious questions. Sharpe, one of the biggest sports personalities, was reportedly on the verge of a huge deal with his podcasts. Now the accuser, an OnlyFans model, is seeking $50 million in damages. Could this be a genuine attempt to find justice? Or is there more to it than just that? With accusations like these, you can't help but wonder if money is the true motivation here, especially when considering the huge sums Sharpe was about to make. Then there's the whole mess of the leaked text and audio, which suggest a much more complicated relationship. If Sharpe did things without consent, that's serious and needs to be addressed. But if the woman was actively involved in what happened, why is it all coming out now? And if things were truly not right, why did she follow him to another state? It's these kinds of questions that make this whole case harder to navigate. The bottom line is this. While we can't deny the severity of the accusations, there's more going on here than just a simple case of right and wrong. The legal tactics, the leaked evidence, and the back and forth all make this feel like a tangled mess that's only going to get messier. What do you think? Is this just a case of a woman trying to capitalize on an opportunity, or is Shannon Sharpe truly guilty of what he's being accused? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on the latest developments in this case and other celebrity drama, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what we have coming next.